Okay, stringers, today we are going to be making a Applique ID Badge Holder. Okay, again, this one, like the Super Simple, comes in both a vertical or horizontal orientation. You choose. They have the same amount of color stops. So I'm going to be making a horizontal one today since the vertical was already made as a sample. I am going to look at my color stop sheet, and there's going to be some things here. First, we have a die line. Then we have a applique placement line. Then there is applique tack, which is going to tack down your applique center. Then we're going to have the satin for the applique, and then we're going to have the final bean, which is going to do the final bean stitch around and do your opening. Okay, now on this one here, I have a special connector that is also a separate file to make this piece to connect a lobster claw. If you don't want to use that, that's fine. Just cutting the hole will allow you to use this type of connector. Okay, so what do we need? We need a piece of base vinyl. We need a piece of applique vinyl. We need a thin backing, Olifun thin non-fray waterproof canvas, something that won't fray. And we're going to need a piece of clear vinyl for the pocket. We're also going to need a lot of tape and some clear water-soluble stabilizer to put on the back to prevent drag and such. We are also going to need, for starters, some medium weight cutaway. So I'm going to hoop that up now. Oh, that did not go in there at all remotely right. So let's try again. Okay, all right. That is hooped. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on the machine. I'm going to run color stop 1. Color stop 1 has been run. Now I'm going to take my base vinyl and I'm going to put it on here to cover the complete die line, and then I'm going to tape it down. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to put this on the machine and run color stop 2. Color stop 2 has been run, which is just a placement for my vinyl. So I'm going to decide where I want that to be, and then I'm going to tape that, and then I'm going to run color stop 3, which is going to tack this down. Okay, color stop 3 has been run, which was the tack down for that applique center. So I'm going to take those tapes off and I'm going to trim my applique. You can use duckbill scissors, double curved scissors, whatever works best for you. And you're just going to trim along that tack down, getting as close as you can without cutting into the stitches. And make sure to turn your hoop. It's easier, even on straight lines, easier to turn the hoop than it is to contort your wrist and get a nice clean cut. All right, so that's been cut. Now I'm going to put this back on the machine and I am going to run color stop 4, which is going to do a satin edge around the applique. The satin stitch around the applique has now been done, so I'm going to flip this over, okay, because now we need to add all our backing pieces, and I'm just cleaning up any loose threads, and I need to extend these lines so I know where to place my clear vinyl, because I'm going to cover it up with the lining piece. So I'm just using my ruler here. A little bit off. There we go. Now I'm going to take my piece of non-fray material and I'm going to place it over the back and I'm going to tape it down. Okay. Then I'm going to take my clear and I'm going to use those lines that I drew to line this up. And again, tape this down. Okay. And then I need a piece of clear, plasticky, water soluble to put over the whole thing to keep stuff from getting snagged and to keep the vinyl from sticking to the faceplate. And I like to tape it all the way around. Okay, and then I'm just going to do that to make sure it's really stuck on there. And then I'm going to put this on the machine and run color stop 5, and that should be the last color stop. This is all done being stitched, so I'm just going to pop everything out of the hoop. And I'm going to flip it over and clean up these thread tails up here. Then I'm going to take off my WSS. Okay. That is off, and now I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to use scissors for this one. It's pretty straightforward cuts. I just use nice long cuts so that I'm not chopping through. Let's get rid of all the trash. Okay, now all I have to do is open this up. So I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. Okay. The hard part is the little ends. Trying to be close to the stitching, but not too close so that I don't cut them. Okay. Okay. And I'm just going to cut that. And if it looks a little ragged, you can stick your scissors in there and just do a little bit of extra trimming. All right, and that's all there is to it. If you're using this style of connector, you just snap it in and then you're all set to go. If you would prefer to use the lobster claw style connector, just keep watching the video and there will be instructions on how to make the little piece that you can use to attach the lobster claw to your ID badge. Okay, so let's say you've made your whole ID badge holder, okay, and that's all ready, and you don't want to use one of these jobbers, which you can totally use. Just put it through, snap, you know, that kind of deal. Let's say you don't want that. Let's say you want a lobster claw so you can hang it off of something that way instead. Well, Ricky came up with this little connector that you can put on, or that you can make to attach a lobster claw. You will need a few things. You'll need a scrap of vinyl. You'll need some sort of non-fray, really thin backing so you don't add bulk. You'll need a lobster claw and a rivet. It's a super simple pattern. My paper got crushed here. I'm kind of a mess today. It's got 3 color stops. super simple. Die line, hole markings, bean stitch outline to connect everything together. So all you need to do is take a piece of medium weight cutaway, throw it on your machine, run color stop 1. Then you'll come back and I'll show you how to do the rest. Okay, so ignore this stuff over here because I'm making a bunch, so I did different steps in the hoop for testing purposes. So I have run the die line, and now I'm going to put this on the front and tape it down. This is my scrap vinyl. Okay. And then I'm going to take and flip this over, and I'm going to take my piece of non-fray material that you'll need for the back. Okay, you're going to need a piece of non-fray, and you're going to put that on the back. Olifun, some sort of thin waterproof canvas that doesn't fray, things like that are what you're going to want to use on the back. Okay, so I taped that down, and now I'm going to put this on the machine. I'm going to run the last 2 color stops, the holes, and then the outline. Okay, so we've got our ID badge holder, we've got our connector that we've stitched. So now I just need to cut this out. Now I need to clean up the back of it a little bit because it's kind of a mess here with all these thread tails. Okay. All right, so that's all cleaned up. Now I just need to cut this out. So I'm just going to very carefully cut, just like on a fob or similar item. I'm just cutting, leaving about 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch past the stitching line. Okay, let's pulse there. Okay, so that's cut out. Now I'm going to get my hole punch. I have this kind. If you have the kind where you hit it with a hammer, that works too. And I'm just going to punch all 3 of my holes. Okay. All right, that's done. Now, oh, I need to grab my lobster claw. Okay, so I have that, and then I need one of my rivets. So I'm gonna grab that. Okay, now I'm going to slip this through here. Okay, that's the first step. I'm going to feed my rivet through through the center hole. Then I'm going to actually trim down the top of my ID badge holder because I didn't trim it enough for this part to work. Then I'm going to push the second hole in. Now I'm going to slide my lobster claw on and fold this tab down. Okay, so it makes like a little sandwich. And then I'm going to put the backing on my rivet and just press it till it holds in place. And then you need to have some sort of rivet setter. I have a table press. I have this hand press. Some people still have the kind where you have a anvil and a topper piece that you hit with a hammer. Anyone will work, just as long as you have some way to set the rivets. So I'm going to set that. And that's all there is to it. You're done. You have a little connector, cute little ID badge holder, and you can hook it on and you're ready to go. And that's all there is to it. The design can be gotten at, well, that sounds really dumb. The design can be found at www.stringtheoryfabricart.com.